Welcome to Stream Detroit, Big Digital Thinkers. This is episode 5. I'm Mike McClintock, your host, with my co-host Brad Fox.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going, Brad?
Top shelf.
Wonderful. We're here today with Roy Dano, who is the founder and CEO of Sports Blog Media Group. He's flown in all the way from Nashville today into the frozen tundra of Detroit, where it's -3. It's probably really balmy down in Nashville compared to this. It was really nice. I swear it hasn't been like this all year. Probably has something to do with the Lions losing to the Cowboys last night. But thanks for coming on, Roy. Thanks for coming down. Tell us a little bit about Sports Blog Media Group.
Sports Blog is the fastest growing sports media site online. We hope we're an open platform that hosts blogs for people passionate about sports. We've got over 22,000 bloggers that have signed up with us, and we think we have a pretty unique business model and platform that is tapping into something, and I think our growth is evidence of that.
So, you think there's a few people that like sports? There seems to be a couple.
So, yeah, I don't know how these numbers come about, but if you look at the NFL's marketing materials or certain networks and things, they say there's about 188 million here in North America.
Oh, okay. That's pretty. That might be most. I think there's like 6 people that aren't into it.
Right, exactly.
So, let me see if I understand. You've got 22,000 bloggers. So you've got 22,000 people creating sports-related content on their sports-related blogs, and it's tied in with. Is it tied in with like the NFL, Major League Baseball, stuff like that, NBA?
Yes.
How's that?
Right. So that's certainly part of it, right? We, as I said, we're an open network. Anybody can join. It takes minutes to do.
So anybody can go to sportsblog.com and poof, you got yourself a sports blog.
Within minutes, you can be.
Okay.
You can have your very own blog. Mike.sportsblog.com, for instance.
So I can talk about the NFL's officiating inconsistencies. Not that just off the top of my head.
You're not bitter about yesterday's game and the flag throwing. Oh, maybe a flag got picked up.
No. You know what? They can't find me.
We're supposed to still be having love for the refs ever since their strike.
All right.
Okay.
We love refs.
Love for the refs.
Right? We still love them.
Jim Joyce.
But yes, anybody can go and join and do that. And if you're passionate about the refereeing or coming draft picks or fantasy stocks or whatever, your favorite team, you'd go and what you do is you would choose your own vanity URL at .sportsblog.com. You can then choose from a library of themes that we have, right?
So no technical knowledge required other than how to type and write?
None at all. The reason we built this platform, and we did build it from the ground up, from scratch, was to be able to incorporate certain features that were useful to this audience.
Okay.
For example, we license USA Today, Sports, and Getty images for use by our bloggers for free.
That's cool.
Right? So, in other words...
That's pretty much all of them.
Absolutely. They are at every, between those two organizations, they're at every sporting event. They've got professional photographers taking great, action shots with things. And so no more do you have to
go find some image that's
go
free.
Get permission or borrow.
Especially in sports, that's a big deal because everything is copyrighted. I mean, it's not like we're going to take a random fan picture who is seated in section 227. Probably not.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about like getting a cease and desist letter or anything like that, right? So
whatever the play of the day is.
That's interesting. I would have never thought about that as being a major issue to have in a sports blog. Is how do you get images?
Right.
Unless you have one of those like 14-foot long cameras out there. But
it's so important to making good content. If you're opining or writing text about it, you need some good imagery to draw, enhance your post.
So how did you decide that sports blogs was the way to go? Are you like a sports blog geek?
Or
not?
I love sports. Real passion is truthfully, it's business and media.
Okay.
And what I observed, even 10 years ago when blogging was first created as a new technology, right? Pyro Labs and Blogger and all of that, was that mainstream media was very dismissive of blogging.
Okay, right.
They were, these aren't real journalists, they're not credentialed, whatever. So, they didn't see this groundswell and the potential of what blogging was, right? And fast forward here, mainstream media has been broken, broken, and there's been waves of layoffs and shutterings of newspapers and magazines and whatnot, and still searching for good business models for things. And so a lot of those journalists, have now turned to blogging. And they are, because it is a fantastic platform and technology to be able to self-publish, right? Zero cost, instant worldwide distribution, and like we've done, we can make you look really good with the themes and photography and other things that.
Well, it's the original media. It's the original newspaper stuff. I mean, it's like Ben Franklin, right? People used to publish their papers, publish their things. And that was the original blog, right? Wasn't Ben Franklin like the original blogger in the 1700s or something? And then it got really, really corporate.
Then it was a different name.
Now we're back around. This is freedom in the world. This is the Ben Franklin of sports.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But your passion is business. You saw something in this.
Well, so there's 400 million plus blogs out there.
Right.
All right, and they are an army on themselves, reporting from infinite angles on whatever subject.
Live from Section 181.
Exposing things that mainstream media, might not cover, or covering in a certain way with an agenda or something like that. So it's really powerful.
Now, is it just so consumers? You make it easy for consumers to sign up, create their own blog, but is it just consumers? Do you have some other folks that are involved, like some of the athletes, for example?
So that's how it started, right? We're just consumers, but yes, what it has evolved to is now we have a lot of professional journalists and writers that have embraced it, and yes, pro athletes as well. We developed a very close partnership with the WNBA Players Association about a little over a year ago. Went really well. This is a league that maybe doesn't get the coverage that it deserves necessarily, right? It's sort of drowned out against the other sports out there.
Well, they're big in Detroit.
Yeah.
The Shock is big.
Billy
and Muir was coaching.
And they have a passionate audience, that really loves to follow them and be connected to them. And so they recognize very early the potential of this blogging and being able to have player blogs for them to be able to connect with their audience. And a lot of their fans, these young girls, look up to these players. And so now you've got a direct connection where they can do that. And so they got on board. Of course, the WNBA is close with the NBA and the retired NBA. And so the service and value that we provided for them was recognized by the others. And so now, with all three groups, we have a very close and great relationship.
With retired NBA too.
Retired, yeah.
That's an association?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, actual union and association.
We got like Vinnie Johnson and the Bad Boys.
Right.
Okay.
In their rocking chairs while they're blogging.
Oh, no. Just kidding. There's no rocking chairs with those guys. I think they could take us.
They're rocking. They're rocking in a different way. They're really strong. About 60% of our traffic is mobile. So we have developed tools, our own app. We have a responsive, mobile-friendly site as well. But on the app side of things, I can just open up the sports blog app itself, and here's a feed from various bloggers, our community of users that are talking about whatever's on sports. This is the high season between football and basketball and college playoffs and everything. So there's a lot of great content here to have. But the default page on this app also just, you can, from your mobile device, post video, photos, text, and create that right here, and then press publish, and it will go straight to your blog.
Consumers and athletes alike. So it'd be very
consumers and
similar.
athletes,
Okay.
anybody, can do that. So this is the Sports Blog consumer app. What we did with some of the players associations, right? I was mentioning our close relationship with the WNBA Players Association and now retired and NBA Players Associations. What we did is we adapted some of that technology, white labeling it for them, for them to be able to have this closed community for their members, for the Players Association and the players to be able to speak to each other, and for the Players Association to send them poll questions. Where should we have
Athlete
a
to
next
athlete.
meeting? Union to members,
Okay.
right? Athlete to athlete will come. Athlete to athlete can happen if they're posting content.
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, you're just responding to poll questions. You're seeing news updates from the Players Association, etc. Right. So you see, just like on the Sports Blog app, it's a very similar type structure, and we do that for the WNBA, the retired NBA, and the NBA Players Associations as well. Right.
So I would imagine ultimately this would be, for certain marketers, a pretty attractive environment if they could get their messaging in there, right? So you have these, highly paid, highly affluent athletes. Could be an interesting, advertising play at some point for the right marketer, right? It's not necessarily for every product, but is that a goal at some point, or is that not?
The goal for this season for the NBA Players Association is to have every NBA player member having downloaded this app and to be on our platform, on their platform, essentially, right? Powered by us. The reach that we have, I mean, that is an illustration of the type of relationship
That's
and reach
crazy
that
reach.
Sports Blog has with the pro player community. That's it's really strong and powerful.
It's not repeatable.
Is completely available for brands to work with us to reach them that way.
Yeah, I would imagine I would think the players would think that's, how they communicate to each other. Certainly some of them already have each other's cell phones and so forth, but, they could send out a note, hey, I'm traveling to Orlando for a game, what's the best restaurant? What's the best, you know what I mean?
Right.
How do you establish, are these like official relationships with the leagues? I mean, how does that dialogue begin? Obviously with, with the WNBA, they don't have as big of an audience, but they're no less passionate than any other sports fan base. So that from a corporate standpoint, you have this really strong, sticky relationship between players and their fans. But how did you establish those official relationships, and how have you kind of parlayed that into official relationships with the other leagues?
I think it was 101 business development, right? It was approaching them, sharing our technology. I mean, we had initial success on the site with, you could see a very professional, site evolving here, a community that was growing rapidly, and we're managing it in a proper way as well, right? So they just recognize that. I mean, I give them credit for doing it. It was for us. It was it was simple business development. Let's reach out and this makes sense.
You built a good product, and they liked it.
Yeah.
And
right?
you just made the
And
calls.
they wanted to
I
come
wish-
back, and that's like the
I
triumvirate
think
of
there's a
sales,
lesson
right?
there. Make a good product that doesn't suck.
Make them want to buy it and make them want to buy it
Something,
again. Right.
right.
I mean, that's really, really fundamental. But it was a need that was there.
And that relationship is strengthening all the time. And so now that's transferred to the NFL as well,
Wow.
the player engagement division within the NFL. This is a group set up within the NFL to help players with managing their careers or post-careers and whatnot. And so they recognized that Sports Blog could be a great platform for their players. And so, for instance, they had me come speak at their sports journalism boot camp, right? There's a lot of players in all sports that want to be broadcasters afterwards or whatever.
Right.
I think we've seen an example or two of those.
One or two.
After a blown ACL, it's like I better try something else, right?
How does the NFL players, they're all interested potentially in becoming broadcasters. They're interested in the media. They're interested in the internet. They're interested in that. So what do you do when you go to speak to the NFL players? How does that come out?
Well, in that scenario, they're interested in a very specific and instructional type conversation. They want to know actually physically how to do it. How do I log on? How do I post? What should I post? How long does a post be? How do I incorporate a picture? Because they want to get going with it and do it.
How many of the NFL players, like percentage wise, do you think are really into that?
So it's a smaller percentage, but growing, right? And I think those who do it are finding great value from it. For instance, Eddie George, legend, right? Heisman, Ohio State, Titans for 10 plus years.
Oilers.
He is doing, he is really sharing some great content, opinions about whatever hot topic there is in sports this week or whatever, right? And we have a business model where we actually share in the revenue that's generated from the blogs with our community. Okay. Now, for someone like Eddie George, that doesn't amount to a whole lot, right? He's already made, a fortune in professional sports, but he's finding great value from it because it's led to speaking engagements. Right. When he does radio appearances or whatever, they will reference back to his blog and get talking points and say, hey, you really said something, out there about a particular topic.
He can enumerate all of his followers through this. Pick up Twitter, pick up Facebook, pick up Instagram followers, all this.
Absolutely.
Build that whole community. That could lead to books. It could lead to other media things, and maybe get paid a little bit more with that. But so this is like his hub kind of a thing. This is the home base for Eddie George Media.
Exactly.
Okay.
Another great example, Charlie Villanueva, Dallas Maverick.
Ex-Piston, right? Ex-Detroit Piston.
That's right. Currently Dallas Maverick. Okay. But he video blogged free agency this summer. Okay? This is a 10-year veteran, right? Looking for his next spot. He did a video post about it, every couple of days, what it was like as a veteran in free agency.
It's like Hard Knocks for NBA free agency.
Produced on his own, by himself, and with really high quality stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Was it literally with his iPhone?
It was with it was a Samsung phone. He did it and edited music in, and I'm telling you, it was riveting. It was great.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it right now.
It was lots of fun.
After the show.
Cut.
Yeah.
You're going to watch it? No, not really.
The neat thing about the business model is that you're creating this community that's incredibly sticky. And I imagine that's got to be very attractive for your marketing partners, i.e. your advertisers, right? Because, I've been in kind of digital media sales for a long time, and, over time it's more about engagement. It's not necessarily about an ad impression. It's more about engagement. And through this kind of fan base, whether it's a person who's following an athlete or one of your, Dave's golf blog, you're creating this community, if you will, of very engaged fans, and having those consumers who are spending a lot of time has got to be incredibly valuable.
So one thing that differentiates sports blog in a very unique way is the community that we have, right? 20,000+ bloggers on here. They're sharing, and it takes effort to create a multi-100-word post, and you're putting yourself out there, right? And so when you do that and you make that effort, there's this community with people that really are quite supportive of each other. I mean, sure, there's trash talking and this and that, but
sports?
that's the fun of it all. But at the end of the day, there's this great community, and so yes, there's this level of engagement, and we're approaching, we're above 30 million page views a month and growing quickly. Top 20, hovering around a top 20 sports site according to ComScore. And so, this provides some real reach for brands to want to connect with this audience in a meaningful way.
And so on that note, how do you compete? I mean, obviously there's some other sports titles that are out there. We won't name them by name because we won't. But there's other sports titles out there, right?
Sure.
So how do you guys compete, and what are some of the, you'd mentioned kind of that stickiness, the community aspect. What are some of the other differentiators that you guys hang your hat on to say, hey, we're better than brand X and brand Y because?
Yeah. So I would just to add some more color to who they are. You've got traditional publishers that may have existing magazines or traditional type publishing, right? And then you have some blog properties too that are focused specifically on sports. How we're different is that, again, we're an open network. Anybody can come and join and do this, right? Whereas if you want to write for a specific magazine or sports
you got to get
blog,
hired, you got to go through an interview and all that stuff, right? You got to
right. Yeah, you're not invited to do that. You can't just do that. And we really strongly believe in the potential and power of sort of this crowdsourced journalism almost, and think that we know it's no secret. There are great bloggers out there doing some really interesting things, attracting millions of page views a month with very loyal audiences. And they're finding sports blog to be a better home for them to do that at.
Got it. And so, there's certainly sports blog. I think the numbers you mentioned probably not as big as some of the other properties. What's kind of what's on the horizon for sports blog, and how do you want to continue to grow? Because it seems like right now the formula's been really strong, and there's been a big growth curve. I mean, how long have you guys been around? It's not been terribly long, right?
Yeah, no, it's just about 3 years now.
Right. So you're growing, and so what are some of the things, if you can kind of give us a peek under the hood of what you're thinking about to continue that growth curve?
Well, we think we can be a top 10 sports media site online, and our goal is to do that within the next 1 to 2 years here. And I think the stars are aligned for us to do that, and we're tracking and trending that direction. So that's a goal.
Pretty big growth. So
it really is for a young
you've been
company
doing
with
now.
Just a couple of $1 million in funding.
Right,
It's yeah. I mean, I think it speaks to something.
It speaks to something. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty
yeah.
explosive growth.
It's like a hit song. You don't really know why it tapped into
Right.
popular culture or not, but I'll credit it to the team, to the business model, and ultimately to the bloggers and just us being able to attract them and creating this community. But just to further elaborate on where we're going like that, so top 10 sports media site is a goal. We've got these great relationships with leagues and players associations. They are strengthening every week. We have dialogue going on about hey, let's do this together, or can you help us with this? Back and forth, right? It's a cooperative type agreement. And so that's going really well. I'd like to see us just continue to service them well in that way and strengthen those existing ones and add new ones. Right, so I think there are other leagues in sports, and we're far down the road on some of those conversations with other leagues to come on board to do some things on sports blog,
like motorsports or some other golf or some other sports that other outside of the major four, right?
Yes. Yep.
Cool.
Badminton. Is there a badminton league?
I think there is.
Because I've been thinking that there should be.
Curling for sure.
Curling is huge.
Curling for sure.
Yeah, I do watch that on CBC. That's
Feather
good stuff.
bowling.
Yeah.
Feather bowling, big in Metro Detroit.
At least at the Caju Cafe.
Holding down at Caju Cafe.
Yeah, Caju
over
Cafe.
at- Yeah, big feather bowl all the time still.
If I could tell you how many times we reference curling in our offices,
It's
about-
astonishing.
Yeah.
You got full-time people on that.
I love when Olympics comes around because that's when it gets all its attention. We
Curling
all
is hot.
tune in.
Right.
Winter Olympics, the curling, they're hand in hand. It's always awesome. Bust out those brooms.
Absolutely.
Big time stuff.
So you'd still consider yourself a startup now, right?
Yes,
You're
and
still-
I hope we remain that way.
Right.
Right. I mean, who wants to lose that? That's where the fun is.
Right. So we say you got 22,000 bloggers, so 22,000 writers, staff, technology staff, operations staff. How the hell do you manage 22,000 writers and all of that? I mean, obviously they're not
Well,
all sitting in
so-
a room somewhere. How's that going?
They're not employed bloggers, right?
Right,
22,000, right?
Sure.
These are users who have signed up and are blogging at varying levels.
Right.
Right. On the staffing side, we have about 12 actual employees with a smattering of contractors. And that's very manageable, right? And this is a high performance team of people from Google, USA Today, great Class A level employee or former employers, who are very skilled at what they're doing, whether it be technology or design or editorial, etc.
So it's a virtual organization?
Yeah, so I actually live in Nashville, and I founded this with two partners, one a Canadian, one U.S.
Big
citizen.
curling fan.
Yeah, big curling's big in Canada for sure. And Peter Ajulas and Kevin April, and we were a virtual team. We just communicated regularly online in developing the business plan and technology for this. And so that worked very well for us. I mean, and we were able to attract, by not being constrained geographically to a Nashville or New York where we have a presence, we could recruit virtually.
You can recruit the best people.
Absolutely.
Regardless of geography.
Yeah. So
37 signals.
And we've gotten, like I said, we've gotten great talent through that very method.
So that's a good startup story there, though, that, you're creating your top 20 now in sports. It's not like you're top 20 in basket weaving. You're top 20 in sports. So in order to do that, you got to recruit the best of the best. You don't have the biggest budget on the planet. So you can differentiate yourself as an employment opportunity or as a startup opportunity by pulling in the best of the best, regardless of geography, and build the best team. Because you can think, hey, I'm not just gonna say we have to be in the same location physically because that's what everybody else always does. Was that like one of your secret sauce strengths, you think, or?
I don't think we set out to make it a part of the we're going to have a virtual team and recruit that way. It was somewhat by necessity, and it just sort of made sense to do that. We've had certain programmers who are making less because than where they were formerly working, because they don't have to commute. They get to work from wherever they want to, basically, and
whenever they want to, as long as their work is getting done, right?
Exactly, and so their quality of life is really couldn't be happier, and
their quality of work is going to be higher too.
Right.
I can't understand why everything in software, of all things, should be remote. I mean, there's no reason with with GitHub and all the tools that we have at our disposal, you can almost guarantee that the quality of the product is going to be better.
I think it's a legacy, type thinking to not do that.
Right.
And the way the world is today, you just have to embrace it.
Right.
It changed. I mean, listen, it was an adjustment.
Sure.
Right?
Oh, it's hard work. I mean, it's not easy.
It is. It takes I'm not saying extra work. It takes work to manage employees no matter where they are, but
sure.
there are plenty of tools now available to us online.
Yeah. It's a different
that
skill
keep us
set
linked.
of management.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's doable if you treat it as such.
Absolutely. So it's interesting. We'll use some project management software where everybody's sort of
like a base camp or something
linking
like that?
into it. Yes, in fact, that is what we use. And if you're part of a department that's you're a member of that group on there, and you're making updates, it's disseminated to everybody, instantly. And so it's worked really well. Skype, of course, is more economical and wonderful technology for that. So
it wasn't on purpose, but it worked out good. And now you'd probably never go back to the old way.
I can't see going back to the old way. It's just worked so well as far as the team we've been able to assemble this way that I can't imagine it.
Right.
I mean, I'd be happy to hire the best one if they're local, but
but even if they're local, they could still work remote.
Yes.
I mean, here we are in a co-working space here at Grand Circus. There's co-working spaces all over the place. Below us are 40 people who maybe they work in New York, but they happen to be working in Detroit right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Of my 12, there's 3 in Nashville with me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Terrific. You know.
Lower overhead.
Yes. Right. Yeah. It works all around.
Mm-hmm.
Although we try to spend that overhead, and you'll by bringing us all together at some point anyway.
Right,
We'll do that
right,
every
right.
quarter, or, every X number of months, just to build that connection and
Sure.
relationship between us all.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
It
helpful.
sounds like rework the book.
Yeah,
So, I
very
mean-
much.
Yeah, I find that helpful. I've worked for many organizations who are not located here in Detroit, LA, New York, and building that connection is important, especially people who are field people. It does help when you're like, hey, let's get the gang together. You can think collaboratively, and it's definitely helpful. But there's definitely a benefit to, not having everybody at kind of the home station, right? Because in a way, it's kind of analogous to maybe that legacy. You mentioned the legacy of publishers in general, like old print publishers, and how they've faced a lot of challenges. And kind of this publishing that Sports Blog is doing is kind of the new way of doing things, and so you don't have a lot of those legacy issues that some of the other older school publishers, if you will, have.
It'd be great to be able to, have lunch every day, or walk out and get beers after work, at different times. But it is certainly not necessarily on a daily basis to do that, right? We get together periodically, have our relationships. We're talking every day,
Sure,
regardless,
sure.
So we're just unable to go down to your local sandwich shop together.
So beyond Sports Blog, are you thinking about other categories? Are you thinking about, I'll make this up, but like technology? Are there other categories that you see as an opportunity that are on that same kind of business model as Sports Blog? Are you thinking about any other categories that you can talk about? I don't want to put you on the spot or anything.
Yeah.
Are there other categories that are interesting to you that there might be something that you guys could, now that you've got the kind of the foundation built technologically, are there other categories that you're thinking about?
There are. And you'll have to invite me back again for
Hey, there's
when
episode number
we-
6.
Right.
when we launch those. But
5.5.
there's some things in the works, and yes, this applies to other topic specifics blogs. And so I think we can.
So sports is
Forecast
the
that
proof of
coming.
concept, but this is a media company.
Very much so.
Okay.
Yep. Software
Mhm.
company, right? We really pride ourselves on the platform we've built, and it's about the bloggers themselves,
Mhm.
right? We can help to amplify their content, drive traffic to them, help them make money, handle the technology for it, et cetera, et cetera. But
But you're a software company, you're saying.
yeah,
That's how you view yourself as a software company first.
we're a software company in the media space.
Right. Okay.
Yep. Listen,
that's good, because I think everybody's a software company now. They just don't know it.
I know. It's true. I really think, to say a simple statement like that
Mhm.
actually takes a lot of, discovery. And it's important to realize what you are.
Mhm.
If we think we're a media company, competing with the ESPNs, and that's a different,
It's a different
that changes
world.
everything.
Right.
We're not. We're a software company that,
Right.
is hosting a platform for bloggers.
I think that's an important distinction, because a lot of people think, well, we're this, we're a media company, we're this, and we're just going to go grab some Legos and stick them together, and that's going to be the technology side of thing, and they think you're just going to pull it all off the shelf, and that's not exactly the easiest thing to do. In fact, it probably doesn't give you really a whole lot of, technological advantage. But when you view yourself as a software company on the biggest software platform, on the planet, then that's a totally different mindset there.
That's right. Listen, we live in a social media world,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
That
What
is
social
that
media?
is
It's
driving
software.
everything, these days, it seems like, right?
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, right, that's software,
Mhm.
right? And to me, I'll take that a step further to say, whether it's your timeline on Facebook, or your micro blogs on Twitter,
Right.
you're tweeting up to 140 characters, it's all a form of blogging,
Right.
right?
I agree.
I see it as by owning or embracing blogging for what it is. There's so much more versatility.
Mhm.
You want to blog to 140 characters? Have at it. You just
Great.
want to say a short quip on something? Great, say it. You want to do a long form, 300 word essay on something, or you do a video, or
write a book in chapter form.
I mean, Mark Cuban can turn a book, his blog into a book.
Yeah.
Right. Winning in the Sport of Business. That was just, each chapter was a blog post.
Right.
I
know a lot of people are writing books that way now.
Absolutely.
And you build up enough of a community. I don't think you can even get a book deal anymore without a certain number of Twitter followers, Facebook. You got to have the whole community, Google Plus, the whole thing. Your blog has to have X amount. I mean, that's the point of entry into the publishing, the dead tree kind of publishing world, or even the ebook world is.
Right. You've
got to have this platform. You've got to have the people that are going to follow you to whatever other types of media that you're going to be in. And this is the software that drives all the media now.
Well, it's an iterative process too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can be talking about it, getting comments and feedback, and that evolves the story along too.
And all that's a testament to what you've built, right? I mean, to get that kind of, and that's where I'm going with, the affiliations that you have with the 4 major sports leagues in the WNBA, is that now you've created this trust factor, and now you have your app essentially white labeled by the leagues ultimately. But that's like a huge trust factor, right? That's really, really powerful.
We take that very seriously, and yes, it exists, and we are encouraged to create these opportunities for players. I mean, they're looking for it. We are a conduit to that. We're having conversations with brands about doing that, and look to do more of it.
Cool.
It's a lot of infrastructure that you've created there. It's like the consumer sees Uber and they see the little app and I'm gonna do, and that's cool, but that's just a little part of what's really there. Underneath the hood, the distribution, the organization, they're trying to figure out how to do surge pricing and the logistics behind where should people be. Should they be in Birmingham? Should they be in Royal Oak? Should they be at Comerica Park? Is there something going on at the Opera House next door? Where should all these cars be? That's really the secret sauce behind something like Uber. It's always something under the hood. It's not that, people love Amazon and people use Amazon because it's a good shopping experience, obviously. But the secret to Amazon is it's like the most massive distribution engine in the world. I mean, It's like a whole nother ball game. It's like Walmart, and that's what a lot of sometimes it's the things that you don't see that makes a platform go. It makes a platform what it is.
Absolutely.
When you see that blog, and as a consumer, it should be just really simple to look at. It should be simple to consume. You don't even have to think about it. But underneath the hood, there's a lot going on there with a whole distributed logistics application for athletes and players associations.
That is where the bulk of our resources efforts have been invested in so far, is developing this platform. Really, the growth from a user perspective is, I think we've got it right on the mix of technology, business model, the way we service our members.
Mm-hmm.
That's just happening from doing it right.
That's a big difference, though, from somebody that's aggregating sports blog content, which there's, frankly, a ton of out there. That's a major difference, between that, which is gluing things together and building an entire platform and an entire back end. That's the hard part.
Well,
but that's what makes it work.
From an advertiser's perspective, of course, when you're just aggregating, cobbling together like that, it's very difficult to scale that and push that out to the masses, right? You've got different platforms and technologies, and getting those standards right is a challenge. Having built our own platform, we can push that, and parse it, however necessary for a brand. And
custom content and so forth, right? So
custom content, splicing and dicing, demographics, whatever.
Right.
And how do you guys, we've talked about this with some of the other folks who've been on Big Digital Thinkers, programmatic advertising, right? So it's here, and I know it's for probably some of the traditional media companies, it's been challenging, right? Because programmatic has an effect, and in a business case, probably not a positive effect to a lot of traditional publishers, because it drives down CPMs. So how is Sports Blog Media Group thinking about the programmatic? I mean, because there's, I've talked to some marketers that, hey, there has to be a balance. I mean, how are you guys thinking, between custom content and programmatic? some people will say it's all going programmatic, everything's going to go programmatic. How is Sportsblog thinking about the programmatic and real-time bidding space?
So let me answer that from two perspectives. One, from the blogger's perspective, right? One of the values that we provide from a blogger's perspective is that, a sports nut, a guy who wants to talk about sports may not have a lot of a point of reference or knowledge on programmatic advertising and getting into whatever networks. So, might not have the traffic levels, might not have the sophistication or knowledge to do that and develop it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that I think is very valuable that we can bring to our members is plugging into that infrastructure.
And they don't
We're
have to worry
already a
about
part
it,
of it, right? It's just that's something we take care of, and monetize it and share that back with the content creator. Okay, so from a marketer's or brand's perspective, right? This is it's here to stay, and it's evolving quickly, and getting more and more sophisticated all the time. We embrace it fully. I mean, yes, we have direct relationships, and we'll always want to continue to strengthen those. But market forces are such that this is a very efficient medium and method for plugging in ads to things, and so it would be short-sighted to resist that in any way. So.
But on the other hand, I would think that that's an advantage because you can create, you could even, create custom content for an advertiser and let the advertiser own it, right? That's an opportunity for you that, if some publisher's like, hey, look, I got to fire my entire staff, we're just going to go completely programmatic. And, in the advertising and marketing world, it's all about ideas. So that I would think would be an advantage to you that you can, if you're going after a young male audience or if you're going after, female athletes or whatever, you can create custom content to fit most any need, and that's a big differentiator versus people who are just completely preoccupied or focusing on the programmatic space, where you can say, look, we've got an idea. That's what marketing and advertising is all about, right? It's all about the ideas.
Couple that then with professional athletes or influential bloggers, and you've got something really special, right? But yes, I completely agree with these ideas are still hugely valuable and done the right way, developed, and then add in the distribution,
Mm-hmm.
that we have these tens of millions of viewers every month, and there's something powerful there for brands to tap into.
This could be the world's biggest sports influencer network, or it probably is right now. If you're a top 20 property, it's got to be the top influencer network.
Something that's interesting is that 10% of all males 18 to 35 are frequenting our network of sports blogs.
Wow.
Right.
That's wow.
Yeah.
That's a high composition.
Massively large number.
This is we have
10% of all of them?
Of all of those, yes. Those males are frequenting one of our network of blogs, sports blogs, right? We have a younger demographic than on certain months but than most of the leading sports networks that you can think of, traditional, big name medias, right? And they may have a 40, mid 40s plus range of
that makes sense.
viewer, and we're,
that makes sense because this is like the YouTube of sports blogs. So like my kids don't even know what regular TV is, right? It's YouTube first. And if you're 18, 19, 20 years old, you don't really care if Walter Cronkite is writing this article, right? You might have, a guy who's writing it on his phone from his house might be the best content out there, and 18 to 35-year-olds, just by their very nature, go out and find that type of content, the content that resonates with them. They don't really care who writes it.
They like that raw and authentic and opinionated type of view about things. Some of our fan blogs are larger that attract more traffic than a team site, or they're number one sources for the Dodgers or the Lakers and other teams. I mean, these are millions of page views a month coming to certain blogs. looking for that content.
And that kind of insider stuff, like with the fan sites, I would imagine that's kind of the, it's different than getting the official word from the team, which is okay,
Yeah.
right? But
Sure.
then it's like,
Sure.
okay, I want to go on the fan site and have a little banter, maybe a little smack talk, like, right?
Well, you're gonna smack talk with your friends anyways about, I mean, just think about it. I mean, you get into knockdown, drag out debates about things. I mean, just
fun.
just throw it on the table.
Right.
Barry Sanders versus Emmitt Smith. Discuss. And people are going to be passionate about that. So there's plenty of people know a few things about sports to the point where they can actually produce the better content. So 22,000 bloggers, 22,000 writers, content producers. Is this probably, I'm guessing most of these, the vast majority of them are going to be hobbyists, and they're doing it for the love. They're doing it for the love of the game, right? The love of the writing. They love this. They feel cool about it. They're going to do a blog anyways. Are they able to monetize this at all? I mean, historically, you'd be lucky if you could cover your hosting costs for a blog. I mean,
Right.
If you can make $9 a month off your blog, you're probably doing better than 99.998% of everybody that's out there. Is there a rev share in this for the content producers? Or
So there is, yeah, and it's challenging for an individual to create their content, then go sell it,
Right.
and know technically how to get plugged into certain networks or sources where they can earn more money, right?
Right.
They may have earned less on their own, but we have a staff that does this, right? And we have a critical mass and a distribution that puts us in with major networks where we can get premium advertising and better rates for our members by being a part of our network, right? And we handle all of that for them. So that's very compelling for people to sign up. And to your point of can you really earn anything? Is there any potential, to do so? Yes, there are people that are earning thousands or even tens of thousands in select examples a
Right.
month. From
well,
their
that's
blog.
That's a lot more than I thought.
Absolutely.
I mean, even if that's the outlier, that's the outlier. That's better than the outlier for a typical content site.
Sure, absolutely. So I mean, it definitely pays and works off. Works out to do that. So yes is the answer to your question.
So if it's good content, it's a good market. It's good. It's
Right.
something that and then it's it's just like anything. If it's going to attract.
It doesn't just happen, right?
Right.
You
You
have
gotta
to
make
work
it
it and
happen.
develop it. Though those people who are earning, thousands or tens of thousands per month doing it, I mean, they're throwing themselves into it, and they are promoting also through their own social, channel circles and et cetera, and they have to produce good content. It has to be, picked up and shareable, and
Sure.
want to be shared. And
But you're providing a
it's
back
viral
office
aspect to it.
function for monetization there, basically.
Turnkey.
It's a turnkey back office function.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yep.
Which, I mean, that's no small thing because, I mean, being able to write content and attract people to a site, being able to produce content, being able to do it regularly, that's hard enough as it is. I mean, that's like a whole set of skills. So if you can pull that off and be that sort of, purple squirrel, then to be able to figure out the craziness of how do I then pull in the advertiser part of it, that's another set of skills altogether. So at least this way, you've got a shot at just being a purple squirrel.
Do
You
what
don't
you
have to
love
be
to
a
do.
purple squirrel that's one-armed.
Right.
So
Right. Now, let me just say,
What's a purple
Yeah.
squirrel?
purple
must
squirrel,
be
you know,
a mascot for
a
something.
purple squirrel, it's like in the
gotta-
headhunting world. A purple squirrel is, the guy that they have 20 years of Ruby on Rails, and even though it's only been around for 10 years, and they know how to hotwire a car, and they have 3 arms.
They're special.
That person doesn't exist for $12 an hour, by the way.
Right.
So it's called
Right.
a purple squirrel.
Yeah.
So
So, of those 22,000, yes, the vast majority are fans, hobbyists, but we have professional writers that are doing this, and like I said, hundreds of pro athletes. Excuse me.
there's probably more money in it than there is in the newspaper business for a lot of them, considering that that's zero for a lot.
for a lot, or even if they could break into the newspaper world,
Mm-hmm.
right? We've had a lot of people that have used their blog as a platform to do that too, right? I mean, they've established their brand, they've developed a resume or a body of work that they can reference, which then has gotten them a job, a full-time
Right.
job at somewhere else. So we talk about the monetization aspect of blogging. Yes, it can pay. Yes, you have to be good at it and do it well and promote it. But there's a lot of benefits, to just, hey, the sheer fun of it,
Yeah,
and
sure.
being a part of this community. And this is
Creative
we're
outlet.
tapping into a passion, subject here, right? It just happens to be the most valuable media topic,
Right.
there is currently, right? So there's many benefits to it, in addition to being able to have a rev share like we've set up.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
Boy,
We'll have it on the next
Dominican
episode.
soup.
yeah. I don't want to tear up. You're trying
I know,
to make
I
me
know.
cry
That's
on
it.
your show.
Mike's,
I'm a
Mike,
big
Mike is-
fan of Nadamica. It's
Mike's going to leave the show. No, well, next time we have you on, when you have your,
I
I know
didn't even
that-
plan that.
I know he's weeping openly. Anybody get a tissue? No, I think next when you kind of announce your next, this is our promise to you, the next vertical that you launch after Sports Blog, we'll make sure that there's not snow on the ground. It'll be warm and there'll be a Tigers game on. So
Great.
That's
a bold statement.
Well, I mean, hopefully it's sooner
Snow
rather
on
than
the
later.
ground part.
Right. Well,
Tigers for sure.
Tigers for sure. So we'll definitely have you on next episode when it's warmer out, and you'll have more great stuff to share with us.
There's a lot of teams that are embracing bloggers as part of their social media effort, right? They may have a box, a corner of the media box may be for fan bloggers or social media, etc. So maybe we can somehow broadcast from
I think we should. I think we should do a
Comerica.
remote from Comerica Park across
Yeah.
the street.
All in favor, say aye.
I'm in.
Aye.
Aye.
Roy, thanks for coming on.
Thanks
Appreciate
for having
it.
me.
Good show.
Pleasure.
Roy, thanks a lot.
Thank you.